With Core 4 of Bleach's 1000-Year Blood War arc just around the corner, a lot of people have been speculating about what we can expect when it comes to anime exclusive scenes. The director for the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime, Hikaru Murata, stated that Bankai is a central theme for the final part of the anime. We already know from the manga we can expect several characters to showcase their Bankais for the first time ever, but there are just as many unrevealed Bankai when it comes to the Shinigami of Bleach. One such unrevealed Bankai is that of Kyokasui Getsu belonging to none other than Sosuke Aizen. Fans have been wondering, is Core 4 finally going to give us the moment where Kubo pulls back the curtain on what Aizen's Bankai looks like? There are a few legitimate reasons to believe that this could happen, and there are equally strong enough reasons to believe that it won't. In this video, we'll be examining the likelihood of Aizen revealing his Bankai in Core 4. But you know whose Bankai is going to be revealed in the final season of the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime? It's all the individuals who are subscribed to the channel. Only 20% of the people who watch these videos are subscribed, so if you enjoy this content and want to see more, then hit the bell notification and the subscribe button. Before speculating on whether if Aizen's Bankai is even going to be revealed, we need to establish something that a surprising number of people are still debating. Does Aizen even possess a Bankai? Well, within the Spirits Are Forever With You Bleach light novel, which included character and lore details provided directly by Kubo, there is a line where Urozakuro states that every strong Bankai comes at a price, and he specifically references Aizen's Bankai having a restriction tied to his Shikai. Additionally, Kubo has consistently maintained that all captains of the Gotei 13 have mastered Bankai, with Kinpachi Zaraki being the sole exception because the 11th division operates under different rules. Aizen held the rank of captain for decades. He would have needed to demonstrate some sort of a Bankai during his captain's proficiency exam. Now you can absolutely guarantee that he did not reveal his real Bankai during this exam. Remember, he had everyone believing that Kyokasui Getsu was a water-type Zanpakuto which created mist-based illusions. He used complete hypnosis to sell this lie for decades, so during the captain's exam, the examiners would have seen exactly what he wanted them to see, a fabricated Bankai which fit the fake water-type narrative. They would have felt the Reiatsu that they expected to feel, and they approved him as a captain while having no idea that they'd been under complete hypnosis since the moment that they had witnessed the release of his Shikai. Remember Aizen's famous line during his battle with Shinji in the fake Karakura Town arc, "How long have you been under the impression that I wasn't using Kyokasui Getsu?" This implies that his mastery over his Zanpakuto is so absolute that he doesn't need to declare its activation. Within chapter 140, we learn that Shinigami who have achieved Bankai are able to activate their Shikai without reciting the release command. Aizen's ability to invoke complete hypnosis without saying a word is itself evidence of Bankai mastery. And in chapter 418, he states that his right arm has fused with his Zanpakuto, signaling the culmination of his evolution as a Shinigami. The Bleach databooks also have his stats maxed out across offense, defense, and intelligence. A character at this level without a Bankai would be a narrative contradiction. Some fans have argued that maybe Aizen's Shikai is in fact his Bankai, given how absurdly powerful complete hypnosis already is, but this theory is debunked within chapter 24 of the Can't Feel Your Own World light novels. The novel highlights the limitations of various Bankai, including those of Ichigo, Kinpachi, and Shunsui. It also specifically mentions that even Kyokasui Getsu, despite its incredible power, had a weakness that prevented it from activating complete hypnosis under certain conditions. This clearly differentiates his Shikai from a Bankai. The weakness confirms there is room for his ability to evolve further through a separate, yet to be revealed final release. Now that we know Aizen has a Bankai, the real question is, why has he never used it? This comes down to a crippling restriction confirmed within Spirits Are Forever With You. Every strong Bankai comes at a price. Aizen's Bankai has a restriction tied to his Shikai. This restriction could be that Aizen's Bankai only works on someone who has already witnessed his Shikai release. This mirrors how Ichibe's Bankai works on opponents who have been covered by the black ink of his Shikai. Or the more likely restriction is that if he activates his Bankai, then all of those who are under the influence of his Shikai Bankai release will be reset. I feel like this is the price that Aizen has to pay for having such a powerful Bankai, whatever its ability may be. Kubo also has a deliberate way of storytelling. His philosophy explains to us why he has kept Aizen's Bankai a secret for so long. The poem from volume 12 of Bleach reads, "We think a flower on a cliff is beautiful because we stop our feet at the cliff's edge, unable to step out into the sky like that fearless flower. The beauty of that flower comes from its distance and mystery, but once you pick up the flower and examine it up close, the ethereal, mysterious quality vanishes." Even the name Kyokasuigetsu, mirror, flower, water, moon, is derived from a Chinese expression about seeing and desiring something that is a dream and cannot be grasped. The flower in the mirror, the moon's reflection on the water, you can see them but you cannot hold them. This is a thematic statement about Aizen's entire character. His pursuit of godhood was itself an illusion, chasing a vacant throne that was never real, reaching for something that would always slip through his fingers. And then there's the obvious parallel with the ability of Kyokasuigetsu to induce complete hypnosis onto its target. Kubo wove this symbolism into the Zanpakuto's identity from the very beginning. The Bankai staying hidden is an extension of this very principle. The moment that you reveal it, the mystery that defines the character evaporates. Kubo's explicitly stated in interviews that he doesn't want to reveal certain aspects of Aizen's character, like his backstory, because in doing so, he would make Aizen less interesting as a villain. He doesn't want readers to sympathize with a villain. Even Aizen's true motivations, beyond rejecting the Soul King, are deliberately left to be ambiguous. These are conscious storytelling choices. Every enemy who faces Aizen has to contend with the possibility that they haven't seen the full arsenal of his moveset. This is the psychological edge that Aizen possesses. It's the constant uncertainty of whether if there's another level that you haven't yet seen when facing off against Aizen. This mysteriousness is worth way more to a character than any specific ability reveal could ever be. When you look at the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime and how it's adapted the manga content, you'll see that Cour 1 adapted 62 chapters of manga content. Cour 2 did even more by adapting 67.5 chapters of manga content, and Cour 3 slightly reduced this by adapting 52 chapters. This means that Cour 4 only has 25.5 chapters left of manga content left to adapt into a full 13-episode season. This is less than half of any of the previous Cour's source material. When you do the maths, it means that over 54% of Cour 4 is going to consist of content that has never existed in any form before. This translates to roughly 7.5 episodes of brand new 1000-Year Blood War arc material, or about 40 chapters worth of new content. On Kubo's official fan club Club Outside, Kubo posted a recording session image which revealed that episode 46, which is only the 6th episode of Cour 4, is already going to be adapting content from chapter 679. This is where Yhwach defeats Ichigo and prepares to steal his powers. Now, the leak also confirmed that Siphon and Almeida are involved in this episode, which is crazy because they are completely absent from this portion of the manga. If the anime is reaching chapter 679 by episode 6, then this leaves 7 episodes with only about 7 chapters of manga content to work with. This could be an indication that the back half of Cour 4 is going to be almost entirely anime original content, or it could also mean that a lot of the material that is left to adapt is going to be heavily reworked and rearranged, because we did see a lot of this rearranging within Cour 2 and especially in Cour 3, like how Bazbi vs Hashward in the manga occurred before Mayuri vs Pranita and Shunsui vs Lil, but in the anime, Hashward vs Bazbi was saved for the ending of Cour 3, serving as the penultimate key moment before the finale. What you have to remember is that Aizen vs Yhwach falls into the back half of Cour 4. Kubo has been heavily involved in Cour 4 since the very first meeting for it, which began on the 22nd of November 2023. Then on the 10th of January 2024, on his fan club, he revealed that they were discussing several new anime exclusive scenes. On the 4th of December 2024, he showed the anime staff new storyboards which were drawn specifically for Cour 4, and the team was reportedly overjoyed after seeing them. He described these storyboards as being insanely difficult to animate, as he added that he he was praying for the animators. During the 2025 Anime Expo panel, Kubo stated that his supervision work for Core 4 alone equals everything that he has done for Cores 1 through 3 combined. Then at Jump Festa in December of 2025, he confirmed that there would be original content not present in the manga, and he said that he was personally curious about how those parts would turn out. He's also teased a brand new character who will appear in the final season of the anime. This is a character who wasn't present within the original manga. Whether if this ties into the Hell arc or Can't For Your Own World is something that is yet to be revealed. Kubo has also stated that there will be a few scenes within Core 4 where people might go, "I've never seen this before." He didn't name Aizen directly, and he didn't confirm if we're going to get Aizen's Bankai, but given the timing of what's coming up in the story, the speculation is warranted. The anime has already set a bit of a precedent. In Core 2, we got Shinji's Bankai from the Can't For Your Own World light novels, as well as an all-new Bankai reveal from Senjumaru, which was anime exclusive. If the anime is willing to create new Bankai sequences from scratch, especially for Senjumaru, then the door is open for anything. A lot of people want Aizen vs Yhwach to be expanded, because in the manga, their confrontation spans barely 2.5 chapters of actual interaction. Yhwach arrives in the Serete after defeating Ichigo in the royal palace, and he finds Aizen still strapped to his chair amidst the ruins of the Soul Society. Aizen welcomes him as he states, "Welcome to my Soul Society," as Yhwach's dark Reiatsu erupts and destroys Chair-sama, finally freeing Aizen. A brief exchange then follows where Aizen states he can finally stop Yhwach. Yhwach questions why Aizen would fight for the Soul Society, and Aizen corrects him as he states it's about crushing those who try to control him. Aizen then summons Hado 99 Goryu Tenmetsu as a massive energy dragon erupts from the ground and towers above Yhwach. This does little to faze the Quincy Emperor, who points out that Aizen's Zanbakuto is already cracked. Now from here, Aizen shifts to deploying Kyoka-Suigetsu, and this is where the layers of misdirection begin. Think back during the first invasion of the Quincy at the beginning of the 1000-Year Blood War arc, when Yhwach and Hashwad visited Muken in order to try and recruit Aizen. It was here where Yhwach had witnessed the Shikai release of Kyoka-Suigetsu. Since Aizen has merged with his Zanbakuto, he no longer needs his physical Zanbakuto present. It seems like just being in the presence of Aizen's Reiatsu or witnessing Aizen in person is enough to be under the Shikai release of Kyoka-Suigetsu, as Aizen was able to successfully manipulate Yhwach's perception of time, thus proving that Kyoka-Suigetsu is effective on him. This now brings us to their confrontation, where Yhwach believes that he is fighting Ichigo and Renji, but in fact he's been fighting Aizen alone the entire time. There is a subtle visual clue that's buried within the manga panels that gives this away. Yhwach severs what he thinks is Renji's left arm, and then moments later the illusion of Ichigo appears with the exact same injury, the same wound on both characters. This is the very first hint that Kyoka-Suigetsu is at work, because both were Aizen all along. Then the biggest shock, the Ichigo that Yhwach destroys and impales turns out to be Aizen himself, as Aizen smirks, stating, "So I appear to you as Ichigo Kurosaki." Then the real Ichigo attacks Yhwach from behind with a point-blank Getsuga Tensho. A critical factor that made all of this possible was Ichigo has never seen Kyoka-Suigetsu's release, so the illusions didn't affect him. Aizen himself acknowledges this, as he states, "I didn't think keeping Kyoka-Suigetsu's release hidden from you would come in handy like this." Their wordless coordination, despite having never fought on the same side before, is one of the most satisfying payoffs within Bleach. All of this can be witnessed within chapter 683 of the manga, but the downfall was that the pacing here was at breakneck speed. Yhwach's Dark Reiatsu suddenly returns as it engulfs Aizen, and he rewrites his own death thanks to the Almighty, and we don't see Aizen again until the final chapter, which is set 10 years into the future. There's a huge missed opportunity here involving the Hokyoku. Yhwach is a being who fears death above all else. He possesses the ability to rewrite futures where he dies, but Aizen literally cannot die thanks to the Hokyoku. Yhwach never once addresses this. The anime could show Yhwach attempting to kill Aizen across multiple futures within the darkness, every timeline possibility, but Aizen regenerates every single time. The Hokyoku simply bringing him back no matter what. This would add a lot of weight to why Yhwach ultimately tries to absorb and contain Aizen rather than destroying him, and it would be far more compelling to watch than just cutting to black and jumping 10 years forward. The anime has already proven that it can expand brief manga moments featuring Aizen into full scenes. In Cour 1, a single panel of Aizen tied to his chair in Muken from chapter 510 became a full 2-minute anime exclusive conversation where Yhwach and Aizen discuss their differing philosophies. Now, if one panel can become 2 minutes, imagine what 2.5 chapters can become with 7 episodes worth of room. There is a scenario where Aizen's Bankai could appear in Cour 4, which works within the narrative. If the anime expands the off-screen portion of Aizen's confrontation with Yhwach before Ichigo and Renji arrive, then I do think that there is a window. Yhwach has already seen Kyoka Suigetsu's Shikai. Yhwach states within the manga that he cracked Kyoka Suigetsu, as we are left to infer that Yhwach thinks he has bypassed Aizen's complete hypnosis, when in actual fact he hadn't. If Aizen's Shikai is so effective against Yhwach, just imagine what his Bankai could do to him. From December 2024, Kubo revealed on Club Outside that he's had many in-depth meetings with the anime staff for each episode of Cour 4, and the storyboards that he revealed to them in their most recent meeting caused the production team to scream. Ever since this news broke, fans had pointed out that this could be the reveal of Aizen's Bankai. What else at this stage of Bleach would generate this kind of reaction from people who have been working on this franchise for years? Also, during Yamamoto's battle against the fake Yhwach in chapter 507, it's established that no Zanpakuto in the history of the Soul Society has a Shikai and Bankai with completely unrelated abilities, so Aizen's Bankai would still involve perception and the sense in some form. If his Shikai induces complete hypnosis, perhaps his Bankai does the inverse. It strips them away entirely or turns illusions into tangible reality. Another possibility is that Aizen's Bankai could just be an amplified version of Kyoka Suigetsu. Either way, it's really interesting to theorize how on earth this possible Bankai could interact with Yhwach's the Almighty. Aizen already proved that with his Shikai alone, he's able to trick Yhwach, who can see all possible futures, into attacking the wrong person. A Bankai typically offers a 5 to 10 times power increase over the Shikai, but how do you escalate from total hypnosis over another person's perception of reality? If the answer is controlling actual reality itself, then Aizen becomes functionally omnipotent, and there's no dramatic tension left to write around. Kubo would likely recognize this as a problem early on. Not all Bankai serve their wielders well. Siphon despises hers because it's a massive missile launcher that contradicts her assassination-based fighting style. Shinji's has such dangerous area of effect that using it around allies would be catastrophic, which is why it was only demonstrated in the novels and in that one anime exclusive scene. I mentioned this earlier, but if activating his Bankai dispels the permanent hypnosis from his Shikai on everyone who has witnessed its release, this means undoing decades of his hard work. Everyone who was under Kyoka Suigetsu's influence would suddenly be freed. I'm sure this is a trade-off that no version of Aizen would willingly take. So what's my stance on this? The Aizen versus Yhwach confrontation is absolutely going to be expanded upon within Cour 4. There will definitely be additional dialogue with new battle sequences that weren't in the manga. We'll also get some extension to those Kyoka Suigetsu sequences and some additional Kido exchanges building up to the Hado 99 from the manga. And I genuinely believe we'll get Aizen's perspective inside Yhwach's darkness, with the Hokyoku keeping him alive across multiple rewritten futures. The anime could also bridge the gap to the epilogue, maybe a brief exchange with Ichigo after the fight, or a conversation with Shunsui during the resealing process where Aizen reflects on why he helped the Shinigami and what Yhwach's defeat means to him. Because in the manga, it's just very abrupt. We cut to 10 years in the future and Aizen is in Muken with no context. I feel like this would add a bit more closure to Aizen's character, especially when he gives us that speech on courage in the final chapter of the manga. But in terms of a full-on Bankai reveal, I think that the odds are very low, maybe 1 in 4 or 1 in 5. The opportunity is definitely there, and there is proof that new Bankai have been shown within earlier cours. You also have Kubo's comments about never before seen content in Cour 4 and the staff's excited reactions, as well as the sheer volume of original material, which does leave the door wide open for what we can expect. But everything about how Kubo has written Aizen for over 20 years tells me that he views the mystery mystery as more valuable than the answer. Aizen's Bankai is the flower on the cliff, and I think Kubo is going to keep our feet firmly planted at the edge, looking at it from a distance, unable to touch it. I mean, even if the anime delivers on half of what I've discussed within this video, like the Hokyoku versus the Almighty, Aizen's perspective inside the void, expanded philosophical dialogue between Aizen and Yhwach, as well as a proper bridge to the epilogue, then this would be way more than enough, to be honest. A Bankai reveal on top of all of this might actually be a bit too much, as it risks overshadowing the things that make Aizen compelling in the first place. If I'm wrong, and Kubo does end up revealing Aizen's Bankai, it will hands down be the single biggest moment within the history of the Bleach anime. And honestly, a part of me does want to be wrong about this, but for now we've reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. Do you think Aizen's Bankai will be revealed in Cour 4, or does it serve the story better to keep it hidden? Do let me know your thoughts by continuing the discussion in the comments, and lastly, thanks for making it to the end of this one, and I look forward to seeing you in my next Bleach video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.